we're going to plot these 4 dots, draw a quadrilateral. A quadrilateral is a 4-sided figure, and find the perimeter and area of it. So the perimeter and area is our key after we draw it. So let's draw the dots. The first dot's -3, -1. So -3, -1. Here's the first dot. Then we get -2, 3. So -2, 3. There's another dot. We have 3, -1. So 3, -1 is right there. And we have 4, 3 right there. So right there we have 4 dots, and then we want to make our quadrilateral. So we connect the dots and make a quadrilateral. And it looks like this quadrilateral is called a parallelogram. That looks like a nice, clean parallelogram. To find the perimeter and area, we have to choose one to start with. I'm going to start with area. Now, if you know the formula for area of a parallelogram, it's base times height. Or you could think of this, which I'm going to do real quick, as 2 triangles and a rectangle. I'm going to think of this as a triangle, and a rectangle in the middle for area. Again, you could just use base times height and know it's a parallelogram and how to do that. So what is the base of this triangle right here? You understand that's 1 by 4. Can you tell that's a 1 by 4 triangle? And isn't this triangle also a 1 by 4? So I have 2 1 by 4 triangles. And what is this side of the rectangle? Well, for the rectangle, isn't that going to be a 4? And how far over is that? Is that 5 or 6? Looks like 5. So what you have here is a 1 by 4 triangle, a 1 by 4 triangle, and a 5 by 4 rectangle. Could I find all 3 areas and add them up? So we're doing area. Yeah. So my area is going to be equal to the triangle plus the rectangle plus the triangle. So let's do that. So for the first triangle, it's base times height divided by 2. For the rectangle, it's base times height. And for the last triangle, it's base times height divided by 2. So how do we find the full area? As we have to find each of these numbers and add them up. So this is going to be 1 times 4 divided by 2 is 2. 5 times 4 is 20. And 1 times 4 divided by 2 is 2. So my area is equal to 2 plus 20 plus 2, which is 24 units squared, or square units. That right there is my area. Okay, I want to find perimeter now. Well, to find perimeter, I want this, oops, I didn't want that. I want this side plus this side plus this side plus this side. So let's find all the sides. Well, can we find these long straight sides first? Are those pretty easy just by kind of looking at it and counting the units? I hope you can tell the top and the bottom. Well, really, isn't it just 1 plus 5 and 1 plus 5? So can you tell, hopefully, that this bottom is 6 and the top is 6? So we know at least there's 12. But our next step is, how do you find this length? Well, don't you see a right triangle here? Can't you use the Pythagorean Theorem to find this length on this side? And since isn't this red triangle the same as this red triangle? If I find this side, will it be the same as this side? So let's use Pythagorean Theorem to find that length right there. Pythagorean Theorem is c squared equals a squared plus b squared. And for this problem, a squared is 1. Sorry, a is 1 and b is 4. So c squared is equal to 1 squared, which is 1, plus 4 squared, which is 16. So c squared equals 17. So c squared is 17, but the length isn't c squared, it's c. So how do I get rid of the squared? By square rooting both sides. So c equals the square root of 17. So what that means is this length over here is the square root of 17, which means that this side over here is also the square root of 17. I have both are the square root of 17. Now that is 4.1 or something like that. But let's write it with nice square roots. All right, let's write it with nice square roots. What we'd have here is, for the perimeter would be 6 plus 6 plus the square root of 17 plus the square root of 17. Let's combine those. So let's see here. So my perimeter, what's 6 plus 6? Isn't that 12? And if I combine these, well, I don't know what the square root of 17 is, but don't I have 2 square root 17s? Just like x plus x is 2x, can I write this as 2 square root 17s? And that is a perimeter. Now, if I want to get a decimal, could you find the square root of 17? So that is good right here. I'm okay with that. But if you wanted to do a decimal, I wouldn't mind on the test, if you want to use your calculator, and make this 2 times. The square root of 17, I think, is about 4.1, about. And then from that, you could do 12 plus, that's 8.2. So you could also say your perimeter is approximately 20.2 units. That is also okay. So you can do square roots, or you can do decimal approximations. Now, I forgot the word units here. Technically, there should be units. These are units squared. So recap, perimeter is how far around. Area is how many squares are inside, and some of those are partials due to triangles. And it helps for area to break it in pieces. And you're going to probably need to use Pythagorean Theorem for any diagonal pieces. Pythagorean Theorem will help you find that length. Good luck.